Hello and welcome to another Solo Thoughts episode. Today we're going to be discussing the three ways, the three methods, the three paths into the Atlus Plateau. And so, for a while I was doing one, and then I found out there was another. Actually, for some reason, I only thought there was actually one way into Atlus Plateau. I don't know why. It just never occurred to me that there was actually two other methods. And so, pretty much the Grand Lift Dectus. I believe that's how it's pronounced. Probably, sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. So I would actually go out of my way to go to a fort. I forgot what it was called. There's some kind of fort in the forest area of Limgrave, and then the other one, let's see, is in Caelid. So I would actually spend. It felt like it took me what 10, 15 minutes to get all of them, and then get to the lift that would take me into the Atlas Plateau. Turns out there's a much more entertaining way. Now, here's the thing. When I collect those medallions, it feels like it takes forever. But I like the route where I had to fight the Magma Wyrm. That's my preferred route now. The other one is where you had to fight another boss called the Abductor Virgins. It's a duo fight between the Abductors. You have the one that's spinning the axes around, and the other one that has pretty much the spin wheel sort of weapon, kind of like from Bloodborne. I think you can also get that weapon here in Elden Ring. Also, like I think it's in the Volcano Manor. So let's kind of just decide. Let's kind of just go through each one. So the Grand Lift Dectus. Let me actually click on this so I can properly read where each one is at. Okay. Yes. Ads. Yes. Fort Hyatt, whatever, and Fort Feroth. Yes. So I am going to miss going through these areas to collect these medallions because learning how to maneuver through them is actually very, very entertaining. However, like I said, I found an ideal path, so I'm just going to miss out on those unless I really just don't feel like fighting the Magma Wyrms one day, but I don't know why I wouldn't because that fight's really fun. So with the Fort Height, I actually came up with a very unique maneuvering. I don't know if anyone else has done it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Maybe send me a link to people that have actually gone through it without rolling. That's no damage, no rolling. If someone's done it, let me know. And so pretty much you start at the beginning and you got things firing at you, enemies chasing you, and then the part where it gets complicated is with the pumpkin head. And so there was a very particular jumping method I had to use in order to evade him. Just kind of jump from, I think I ended up jumping from the right side. Jumping to the right and then wrapping around him. Because Pumpkinhead acts very quickly, so you got to make sure your maneuver is very quick. And then you got to maneuver around so you don't get hit by the explosive barrels because you got enemies that are throwing firebombs at you. It definitely reminded me of Demon Souls at the very beginning in the Boltarian Palace, where they're throwing fireballs at you. And so you get to the very top, you grab the medallion. Of course, you can always just kind of just jump off and then just on your way. But of course, you have one of those big knights that you can fight. I really love that. I kind of wish that the area was closed off a little bit more. That way you were forced to fight him. So I wish that the area was a bit more strict in terms of combat because you can basically just run through. Heck, I mean, you don't even have to deal with the pumpkin head. You could just wait for the pumpkin. There are ways to get through without having to deal with it in a complicated way. But of course, I want to make things more complicated because I feel like it should be designed better. And there's definitely a lot of design flaws here with going inside because you can just simply just run in, grab it. Well, yeah, run in, climb the ladder, grab it, and then leave. And there's really there's not enough consequences. There's not enough conflict with enemies. Enemies are just kind of looking at you like, oh heck, he's running. There's nothing we can do. And so, yeah, I just wish at the very end it was closed. It would be closed off. That way, you're forced to either fight that knight or jump down the ladder and take damage. Or maybe they should have it tall enough to where if you just simply jump down, you'll get killed. Because if you try to climb down the ladder, maybe hopefully the knight would just immediately aim his weapon towards your head, and that way you'll fall off and die. So there's something tight should be there. Probably a lot of people would disagree with me on that, but I feel like that would be a much more intriguing combat interaction. Is just have that, like I said, what I just described, and then once you make it out of that, then fine, whatever. Whenever I get there, I'm just always disappointed that I can just simply jump off and just run away. So anyway, the next one is Fort Feroth. This is the one in Caled. Now, this one is actually very risky, and I think it works pretty well because you got to run in, you got to avoid all the bats, especially the one that sings. I think you got the singing one in there, but either way, there's one in there that poisons you. So there's a particular maneuver you got to do in order to climb up the ladder in time without getting poisoned. Most of the time, I tend to get poisoned, but it seems like every once in a while I get lucky. So there's some kind of slight maneuver that's a little slightly faster. Either that or the bat has some kind of delay that causes him not to spit out the poison in time. So anyway, you get to the top, and then you gotta jump where there are these spirit warriors, and they'll chase after you, and you have to avoid them. And also, there's a very, very tight scenario with a big rat to get the, what's it called, Radagon Sword Seal. And so that's actually, I love that part because it's very risky because these rats are tough. And so you got to definitely battle your way to get through that. However, we're talking about the medallion. Medallion is pretty much just as disappointed, if not more so, because all you got to do is just climb the ladder, and bam, you're right there at the chest with the medallion, and that's it. And then you just make your way on through. So it really doesn't take that long. However, you do have to make your way all the way to Caled. So the great thing about my favorite route is that you can get to the Crystallion if you want to go ahead and upgrade your weapon with smithing stones 1 and 2. Kill the Crystallion, get your weapon high enough, because you don't want to spend too much time fighting the Magma Wyrm unless that's what your thing is. I don't like endurance-based difficulties, so I got to make sure I'm doing enough damage to get by. Sometimes, well, actually, that's right, you can't get the other smithing stone upgrade until the Atlus Plateau, so you pretty much have to make sure that whatever weapon you have, maybe even Summer Smithing Stone might be the answer, because you can actually upgrade it a good bit until Smithing Stone 7, because the Smithing Stone 7 is in Atlas Plateau. I believe you can get it up all the way to 6 before you enter the Atlas Plateau. I might be wrong about that. So, anyway, you basically just kind of work around however, how long you want to how long you want to spend with the Magma Wyrm, Makar. And so I think I've gotten it down to where I think I'm so comfortable with the fight that it's actually not that big of a deal. However, I don't want to be fighting him for 5 minutes. That's just because I'll start daydreaming, and then I'll just end up getting killed by an attack that I wasn't too familiar with, because sometimes the Magma Wyrm will pull out something that looks weird. And I mean, I've seen every attack, but every once in a while something throws me off. And pretty much every boss does that, where their tracking is kind of just slightly shuffled. I know the Nameless King does stuff like that, where especially in the first phase, where the bird just seems like he's about to do something, but then he stops. It's almost like the boss is trying to calculate on what to do next. It's a very odd situation, and it happens with quite a few bosses. I think even Elmer the Briar was like that, but I don't want to mention inaccurate examples. So anyway, you kill the Magma Wyrm Makar, and you just simply go up the elevator, and then you have a dragon that you can just ride right on by, and then you got a bonfire basically right there. And the great thing about this path is that at that bonfire you got a ruin that allows you to access this site of grace, that lets you access a site of grace right next to a ruin that actually has the ritual sword talisman, I believe is what it's called, is it increases your attack power on full health, and that's one of my favorite talismans. And so it's an ideal path because of that, pretty much. But also, the Grand Lift kind of puts you relatively close, so it's not really too crazy, but still, the other path is a lot closer. Now, the Volcanic Manor path, where you have to get kidnapped, I don't really care for that, because once you go down that path, you're basically locked until you kill that duo. Now, of course, hopefully you're powerful enough when you get in there, because let's just say you're Ruin level 1 and your weapon sucks. Then you're just, as far as I know, you're stuck down there. I don't know, there might be a way out of that. I haven't seen anything. I haven't heard anybody complain saying, oh man, I'm stuck. So maybe there is a way out of it. But I guess you can summon. But if anyone knows anything extra about that particular scenario, maybe I need to look that up real quick. Let's see. Trapped in Vol... Sorry, I'm just going to do a quick little search. I should have done that before. Oh my goodness. Trapped in Volcano Manor. Let's see. All right. I got a bit of my blah blah blah. Need to jump. Okay, let's see. You need to jump across the lava to a cave, then drop way down on platforms that run across a lava cave, and you'll end up in a ruined platform surrounded by lava. There's a grace there. Rest at it, and you can. Really? You can't travel out of there after that. I didn't want to look up anything online in case of spoilers. Was going the opposite way. You are a gentleman and scholar. This works. Thank you. Where's the cave? Okay, so apparently there is a way out of there, according to this Reddit post. Let's see. I found a way out. I was put back on top to the site of grace that I hit before exploring more. Turns out I had the rest there to trigger. Well, I thought I did that, but I couldn't get out. Okay, well maybe it was my fault maybe it's just my error. So maybe you can get out of there. Okay. So I think I was wrong on that one, so I apologize. I think you, as far as I know, apparently on that Reddit post, as long as you hit the bonfire, you can get out. But I could have sworn I tried that because I am aware of that, because if Patches transports you to the forest, you can't get out until you hit a site of grace. So when I was transported to Volcano Manor through those by getting abducted, I could have swore I hit the site of grace and still wouldn't let me travel. So maybe I did something wrong. Maybe I was in mid-jump when I checked. Who knows? I'll have to look back into that. But if someone knows exactly, let me know. And so I don't really like... I mean, that one's okay. I don't think those two enemies work very well. It's not the worst duo fight in Elden Ring, but it's just really annoying. You do get a decent, unique Triton weapon out of it. However, I don't know. I just find the path to the Magma Wyrm, Magma Wyrm Makar, just a lot more entertaining. Because also you got like I said before, you got the Smithing Stone Crystalline Tunnel. That's definitely going to help you upgrade your weapon. Explore around with weapons that you want to see what you want to use, and then from there, you can go straight to the Magma Wyrm Makar once you're comfortable enough. So I feel like it's got more of an organic progression from that for that path. Everything else just seems way out of the way because you got to go to the Lucaria, you got to go below the lift, and that thing kidnaps you, takes you to Volcano Manor, and then you defeat the duo. I don't know. Maybe that's, I don't know. I want to know everybody's thoughts. What is your favorite path? Like I said, Magma Wyrm is my Sorry, I keep getting those words out of order. Magma Wyrm Makar. That's personally my favorite. Is actually, well, you've heard everything I said. So anyway, that's about 10 minutes, and thank you, and I hope you find this topic interesting.